Good afternoon.
Greetings.
Like just as chickens. I am not entirely convinced we will get much of a crowd today, but we shall see what we shall see. Let's give people a minute or two. Blue Jeans.
Brother,
Sorry?
I said hello.
Hello. Blue Jeans was having some issues with me. I don't know if anybody else had trouble.
Yeah, well, I was having issues with my headphone. And
Yeah, for some reason it just was not letting me in. It appears to be happier now. I think that messing with the schedule has also thrown the entire thing into disarray because there were only 8 people on the call this morning.
That never happens. No.
Yeah, no. No good deed goes unpunished. So we may either move it back to the old time or do something going forward. We can give people a minute or two to show up. Otherwise, it's just us, and I can zip through what we talked about this morning.
when was the earlier meeting today? Time?
Earlier was, what is it, 4 o'clock now? Was it 7 hours earlier? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours ago. It was 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 o'clock Eastern time, 6 p.m. Central European time. This is supposed to be a more friendly, a friendlier time for Asia. But, perhaps we don't have too many people joining yet from Asia. We'll have to improve on that. All right, I'll give it another 30 seconds and then dive in. Meantime, I can sort out whether or not I can share a screen.
Oh, I show the earlier meeting is on Thursdays, not Tuesdays.
Do you?
I do.
It's
That
on your
could just
calendar
be-
that way?
Yeah, that could just be me though.
That might
Maybe
be an
Tuesday.
old. Yeah, it might be an old meeting. It was on this morning. We met this morning. I was about to post the video from it.
Okay, let me fix that. Must have done something here goofy.
Let's see. I show you on the list for this morning. What I can do is remove you and re-add you.
Oh, okay. Because I was just going to fix it regardless. But
Okay. If I fix it on my end, then hopefully you'll get any updates that get sent out.
I like that better.
Second.
Oh, it's interesting. I show it from the I show it in the automotive calendar as that as well.
Yeah. The Red Hat Automotive Calendar definitely has it. But I had you on here directly. Now I have you on here again directly. And we'll see if it actually works.
You're sure the internal automotive calendar has it on Tuesdays? I don't know why mine's showing.
Let's see.
That's very odd.
This is on. Let me bring up the automotive calendar.
Huh.
Yeah? Well, maybe not. Did I screw this up? It's very possible that I screwed this up. Well, it's good to fix bugs on the fly here. Yes, you're right. I did screw it up.
Oh, okay, good. It's not
Should
just
have
me
been
then.
here. And well, I'll just have to. I guess I'll attend a meeting on Thursday as well. Why not? One good meeting deserves another, right?
That's right. There's clearly not enough being held, so.
Okay. That over.
There we go.
Well, this is fun for everybody on the call, I think. Um, anyway, I am sharing my screen. I'm probably sharing my email and calendar now too. So, in any case, we met this morning. There were 8 people, so I considered the meeting accommodation times to be an utter and abject failure, and we'll have to work on that. We went over the action items from previous meetings. We went to check on status of the goals that we set for the remaining part of 2021, which is rapidly diminishing, and starting to get into holiday times, U.S. holiday times at least. There's a U.S. holiday next week. I think everybody on the call knows that. And then a future meeting schedule, which we'll have to be taking under advisement. We had a short technical status update. Rachel was on the call. Clark was on the call. Ian was there. And we just went over the way that things are looking right now. And I renewed my request for help for developing contribution guidelines. So far, I've not had any takers on it. The previous actions were to continue building out infrastructure. Pierre says that the CI process is still in process. We can go over that in the next couple slides. Finding better times to meet, as I mentioned, was an abject failure, and encouraging all interested parties to join this community has actually been quite a success. We've had a number of interests, a bunch of interest from several other organizations. Mostly auto manufacturers, but at least one tier 1, and we had somebody from Wipro who had introduced himself on the call this morning. Cool. Of our specific goals, we have, I think, built a foundational community, and we're still working on that. Building a community is an ongoing task. We're establishing working relationships among all participants, although I think that most of the work, I'm going to maybe possibly say all of the work, is currently being done by Red Hat folks. Would really like to expand that and get some other contributions in place. One of the things that would really help with that is some contribution guidelines, which we currently don't have, other than the fact that it's in Git and people can file patches or send in patch requests, pull requests, if they want to. I don't know if we're actually accepting pull requests, and that might be a good thing to actually check. It looks like there have been 70 commits. See if we can see if they are from anybody other than just us chickens. I think I recognize most of the names on here as Red Hat folks, which is not unexpected, given that all of this infrastructure comes from Red Hat infrastructure. And so a lot of outside organizations, particularly auto manufacturers, are not going to be totally familiar with that, which is why we need the contribution guidelines. I am not going to totally promise that this will get done by the end of the year, but if not, it'll be a #1 priority in January. Let's see. We have developed plans for the CentOS Automotive variant. We do not have a release time yet, but we do have build instructions, which is awfully cool. We, as far as the presentation at Automotive Linux Summit, we're not doing a CentOS SIG specific presentation at ALS. We are going to be doing a talk on functional safety, and immediately after that, there will be a BOF on functional safety. I expect it to be more ELISA oriented than CentOS oriented, which I think is still a good thing because the topic of the day will be Red Hat's methodology and approach to functional safety. And there's a lot of people who are very interested in that because we just really announced it in public at ELISA. It was also pre-announced at the Exida Summit in September, but I don't think there were that many people who actually saw that. there were many people who saw it at the Elisa talk, the Elisa workshop. And we even have a start of a blog project, a blog post for it on redhat.com that should be out in January. But the presentation at Automotive Linux Summit will be on December 15th. And it'll be in the afternoon Japan time, which puts it at about 11 o'clock p.m. my time and about midnight or 1 in the morning for people to the east of where I'm sitting on the west coast of North America. And we currently, sadly, do not yet have stickers. I have heard through the grapevine that CentOS may be going through a branding refresh. So if they actually do get some cycles from a design person to redo their logo, we will wait and do a logo for the Automotive SIG afterwards and develop stickers at that point, hopefully before any major events. I'm also not watching the hands or the chat in case anybody has anything they want to pitch in. So if you do, just start talking. We did a poll on future meeting schedules. We had, I think, 26 responses. There was no clear path. I picked the one that had the most responses, which was today. The morning meeting, 13 people had said that that was the best time for them. And since 8 showed up, I'm guessing that perhaps something dramatic happened between the time I did the poll and the actual meeting time. But in any case, I think that I've gotten the message that these meeting times and the dual meetings may not actually be our best path for now, at least. So we'll reevaluate that. The purpose for having 2 meetings in the working day was to have one friendly to EU time and one friendly to Asia. So we may renew that at some point. I think I'll probably take it off the list for the remainder of the year. I don't know. We might go ahead and I might keep it on there in 2 weeks for the office hours, because we'll be doing the office hours at the end of November, early December, and I think that for some reason I think people are looking more forward to that. Not sure why that is. Maybe formal meetings put people off. For build and test, we obviously have a code repository. We have documentation repository. Pierre was responsible, I think, for writing the docs, and Rachel and her team mostly did the code. And Pierre and they've been working together on the infrastructure. CI pipeline is still work in progress, but there are build instructions at the documentation link, so feel free to build it and load it onto your Raspberry Pi 4 if you have one, or load it into QEMU if you don't. There are a number of tests that are moving into the pipeline as well, according to Rachel, which is great news. Fuck has let us know that they're working on an SRPM of the kernel auto, which is a variant, a descendant of the real-time tree. I think it has not yet entirely been determined where that kernel will live, whether it will live within CentOS 9 or whether it will live within our automotive-specific repos. So if anybody has information, or if they heard something different at the meeting this morning, that would be good to know. The remainder of the discussion this morning was really given over to hardware and whether Raspberry Pi 4, everyone agrees that it's a fine machine to demo on and to demonstrate the proof of concept that a build can exist and be pushed out to an ARM platform. There's a lot of other hardware that people are interested in. And the question is, how are we going to develop that? Is it going to be, I think we talked about it here, is it going to be a board farm? We're going to enable some kind of remote access. What hardware do people want to see supported? And maybe we should start that discussion in terms of features and parameters rather than actual pieces of hardware, so that we don't leave any manufacturer's stone unturned. We touched briefly on RISC-V because apparently I can't have a meeting without bringing up RISC-V. And there was a number of people interested. Clark was, and the guy from WePro, I believe, was as well. I don't know whether that interest is casual or professional, but given the renewed interest in the Fedora world, for RISC-V. I think that it might be a good time to strike to maybe get some things building within CentOS SIG as well. I don't think that CentOS actually targets RISC-V at the moment. We still need help developing some porting pages. Clark brought up that we don't really want to support the concept of BSPs within our world that belongs to the customization and embedded Linux world. What we want is one configuration to rule them all, but we also need to be able to make sure that it runs on all of these mythical pieces of hardware that don't exist yet. And how we're going to do that, I think that it was proposed a meeting or two ago that we also develop a porting guide or a set of pages on the wiki dedicated to porting and how to bring up new hardware, how to bring up this particular OS on new hardware. And we can put that into the contribution guidelines or develop it separately. But it's clear that we have some documentation needs that need to be addressed. And that was really what we talked about this morning. We actually did end about 20 minutes early. There were just not very many people there. And toward the end of the year, things definitely tend to get spread out. Everybody's planning for end of the year stuff and beginning of next year stuff. There's a lot of events that have been pushed late into Q4 this year. So I know that Automotive Linux Summit usually does happen in December. But Open Source Summit didn't happen until a little bit later, and then there was Exida, and then last week was EclipseCon. So there's a number of different community events and conferences that all seem to happen at once. And so that's really kind of a summary of what we talked about this morning. Do we have? Did I miss anything important, or does anybody have anything important that they would like to talk about while we got a few minutes? I want everyone to speak at once.
And my only question was, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
All right. Thank you. I was going to ask if that kernel package if there was any talks about hosting it into the SIG repositories.
Yeah, there is an ongoing discussion about whether to host the kernel within the SIG or whether it should remain upstream in the CentOS repository. They're in the process of switching over from CentOS 8 to CentOS 9, and so now is a good time to think about basically creating a pull request from the real-time branch to support the kernel auto is what they're calling it, kernel-auto. And Clark is the person who I believe is kind of gathering opinions decision on that.
Okay. I'll try to keep a close eye on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hopefully it won't matter too much. I believe that one of the gating factors was that if it was in one repository, then only Red Hat people could actually become maintainers for it and apply patches to the repo. And so there's some concern about that because, of course, we want to be able to we want this to be a community project, not just a Red Hat thing. So the idea is to be able to enable somebody from an outside organization to be able to take pull requests and do the right thing with them. And I don't honestly remember the details of which method of hosting it supports which one. I think that if it's hosted on a Red Hat, in the Red Hat branch or in the Red Hat organization, GitLab organization, that only Red Hat people can become maintainers. Yeah, it's a good thing to watch and a good thing for us to be documenting so that people can know what to expect. That if they're going to create a pull request or if they want to be eventually take a leadership position in the SIG, which I really hope we do get some non-Red Hat folks involved in that. Well, we want to be able to make sure that they can do what we expect them to do. Or just hire them. I guess that's an option too. So. Was there another comment?
No, I just posted a link in chat, but There is a thing called the CentOS Stream Contributors Guide,
Okay.
which unfortunately, if you start clicking through it, under the contributing section, it says roles and responsibilities.
I see.
This
This
page
page
is
is
waiting
waiting.
for content.
That's
So,
here, I'll just bring it up. That is a slightly less than useful. Um,
correct.
and then for the SIGs, it looks like the same thing. So I'm guessing that we will eventually be expected to create a page under this page, under SIGs. So
Yeah,
that would be great. So maybe I should just claim that this action item has begun because somebody else
sure.
started the wiki page for it.
Well, and there is some stuff here and there about, the build system and the release. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Some of the, no, I guess it's just the build system.
Hmm.
Mind. Okay. At any rate, I just thought that was kind of curious more than anything else.
Yeah. There is information on how to open a merge request and such. So the quick start guide looks like it's there. I think that was ported over from the wiki.
Hmm.
I remember this text from this layout from the wiki, particularly the good patch, bad patch.
Well,
The the
and do you want this stuff on the Automotive SIG wiki, or I can't tell
well, I
where
think that
this is.
this is under docs.centos.org, so this is the
Right.
official documentation package. Since this already exists, my tendency as a good community member is to add to it rather than branching off and creating our own thing.
Right.
I just didn't know that this existed. So yeah, this is good. Um, Once I get some volunteers to help with documentation, then we'll be able to sort this out and present it as a fait accompli to the next one of the upcoming meetings. In the meantime, this is great. I'm going to at least post the quick start guide in on our wiki. I'll post a link back to here from our wiki so people can at least have some idea of what's going on.
Yeah, because yeah, maybe we can just do merge requests to this puppy.
Yeah. We'll do it here. Editing real time.
There's the Git tree.
Got to get tree 2 and GitHub.
Of course,
The
because
rest of
why
our
not?
stuff is on GitLab, but it just right here. I'm just making a hash of this, so I'm going to stop editing now. trying to sort out Google Docs is a tentative task at the best of times.
It's
It doesn't
just
make
a
a
sign
whole.
of maturity that you can look at that and say, "Oh, I need to stop now before I hurt myself."
Yeah, but you notice I haven't stopped. Okay. Anyway, so I don't know that we have a whole lot more to discuss. If anybody has any good ideas on how to figure out when to have a meeting time, I would be grateful for some advice. I may have inadvertently crashed the show by moving the meeting times around, but we can always put them back and maybe host some other meetings.
Yeah, I
Um,
think, yeah, my two
having
cents worth is it looks like there was more interest in the Americas and the EU, so
mhm.
maybe keep that one for now and see how things go at Automotive Linux and go from there.
Yeah, I think that I also screwed things up by with the calendar invite situation that we were talking about at the beginning of the meeting. So we'll do my best to remedy that, and we will continue moving forward.
No,
So
sounds like progress regardless. So that's good stuff, man.
there has been a lot of really good progress, just not from me.
No need to be so rough on yourself, man.
I know. No, there has been some really good progress on the infrastructure. Really glad to see that. And a lot of interest from outside parties. I know that the SIG has been discussed in SOFI circles and in Eclipse software-defined vehicle edge circles, and among a lot of the partners that we have been kind of working with behind the scenes. So yeah, there's a lot of interest around it.
Excellent.
All right, well, I'm going to give everybody half an hour of their day back, and really appreciate you all showing up, and we will talk soon.
Thanks for setting it up, and yeah, we'll talk later.
Yeah.
See ya.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you.